Hi, Jesse. Thanks so much for talking with me.
Hi, Ashley. It's so good to see you.
Really excited to do this conversation and celebrate Women's History Month with you.
Me too. You're one of my favorite people and a woman I celebrate every day. So
Oh, thank you so much.
you're
Um,
welcome.
well, starting off, this is always one of my favorite questions. Who is a big female mentor or role model in your life?
Honestly, this is such a good question. And while you'd think I'd pick somebody real, you know me well enough to know it's going to be Buffy, Buffy Ann Summers.
Yeah, I should have known you would
she
say that.
she is my everything. I mean, I'm still mourning the loss of the sequel from Hulu,
I was
but
going to ask how
um,
you're doing with that news. Yeah, what a loss. Getting everyone so
honest.
excited and then scrapping it.
Well, not all men, but always a man. So a man, a male executive was the one to put the kibosh on that. So don't worry, I'm going to find out who you are. Um, but no, Buffy is everything to me. I think for me, I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life and not always consistent support when it comes to family. And I always look to Buffy when I'm in my dark times and kept going. And she's had to be alone in so many instances in her life and actually stop the apocalypse. So I always feel like if she can do it, so can I. And I know she's fictional, but she's real to me.
On a similar note, that's how I feel with Gilmore Girls and Lorelai. And
Yeah.
she has a very similar situation where, she has to do everything on her own and carve out a life and a career for herself that looked so different than she thought. And that show has been with me for 25 years.
Whatever gets you out of bed. You know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
Ashley? And I think for me, I think the show is just such about misfits and like finding your friends as family. And that message really resonated with me and going against the odds. I think so often the odds were not stacked in her favor. And it doesn't matter if you're going to win the battle, you still fight and you still try to do the right thing. So I really try to do that in my own life.
definitely. And do you want to just tell everybody about all the different hats that you wear? Because you do so much.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the president of Head Bitch Music, and yes, that's the name of the company. Our bank actually has to call and say that to me, which is always funny. It gives me a little chuckle. Um, but we have, custom music. We have a label imprint. We run sync. So I run the verticals of sync and custom. And I'm also a signed songwriter and an artist myself. So I definitely wear a lot of hats. I consult. I just go where the problems are and I try to solve them and I try to do it ethically and transparently as best to the best of my ability. Because I just didn't see a lot of humanity in the places that I used to work at, or being a young woman in the music industry. It wasn't very safe. I didn't feel very heard. I didn't feel thought about my well being. And so I think it's always tricky when you're in the business of art because it is a business. But I think there's ways that we can kind of combine them together to make sure that we are thinking about the whole person, and thinking about the bottom line. I think you can do both. So I really try to do that in all the verticals I participate in.
Because you do work across so many different parts of the industry, I mean, of course, there's many areas where we have a long way to go, but what positive changes have you seen and that give you hope and inspiration and energy?
Yes, I think when I was starting to come up as an artist, we were all told there can only be one woman at a time. And like what? Like a load of like doo doo. I think, it's such a silly concept looking back at that, where we were really told that we couldn't like be friends with each other and collaborate with each other because they were going to take our shine away. And this was really coming from male executives, shocker. So I think What I love now is that that narrative has completely been turned on its head, and women are really talking to each other and creating these amazing support networks. And instead of looking at it as competition, we're looking at it as an addition to what we do. I'm friends with a lot of my so-called competitors across all verticals, and I love working with them, and I love hearing their strategies. And it just makes me a more well-rounded individual and worker. So I love that women aren't as afraid of each other now. Um, and I think that's just because we said, fuck the patriarchy, you know?
Yeah.
Or screw the patriarchy. You can bleep it. It's fine, Ashley.
No, we're gonna leave it. We keep everything authentic. So, but yeah, I mean, that's a great point, and we definitely need to keep building off of that energy and that feeling.
Absolutely. I think you're seeing a lot of changes in our culture across the board. And you know what? Whenever there's a lot of change, there's a lot of like against that change that you'll see. And you know, I think that when women come together, extreme change is possible. And it's only when women kind of like break apart from each other and support um, systems that don't necessarily lift them up is when all women suffer.
Definitely, definitely. Well, is there a standout proud moment from your career? I mean, I know you have so many, but either as an artist or executive or both.
Um, it's so hard for me to answer that sometimes because I am so hard on myself and I'm such a perfectionist, and no one is critiquing me the way that I critique myself. But I think what I'm most proud of when I think about like all stars kind of aligning is when I was just kind of starting out on my executive journey and it was the pandemic. I had like a very big viral hit for one of my projects, for a song I wrote a bazillion years ago that I was told by many, many people in suits was just never going to happen, and it wasn't good enough. And like, I wasn't good enough. And at the same time, I was like breaking records as an executive at another company, having an amazing financial year at my own company. Then I was like the number one song in sync, and it was going viral on Spotify. And labels were reaching out to me trying to sign me that didn't know I was me, and that I've already been down that road with some of them. So it was like the ultimate validation, I guess, if you will. So I'm not, I don't really care about like charts or money or those kind of things. It was just a good lesson for me to know that, timing is everything. And it doesn't matter if people don't believe in a song or they don't believe in you, because you have to believe in you. And at any time that can change, and your number can be up and sometimes you're down, but it can't mean anything about you. So I'm really proud of that because it taught me that lesson.
That's really funny that some of the labels, because you have a stage name, didn't realize that that was you.
I You'd be surprised how often this happens to me where people will like license my music, and then they'll talk to me as an executive and they're like, "Oh, I just licensed this thing from HBM." And I'm like, "Oh, that's me." And they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that was you." And so it's funny. I take pride in that because I think it means um I really try to keep all those things separate and give it like the respect it deserves without like pushing myself forward too. Like, I'm mindful that while I am an active writer and an artist, I don't want that to take away from people I'm supporting. And I don't want to be in competition with anyone. I'm only in competition with myself and whatever's going to super serve what's happening on screen.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, since you get to meet so many people and work across so many parts of the industry, what is your view on what it's like for, students or young women who are just entering the industry, and what advice do you give anyone just starting out now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so hard now. I mean, I think it's always hard, right? Like, I think if you are jumping into the entertainment industry, it's not for the faint of heart, and you have to have a thick skin. Um, I think it's very oversaturated right now across everything, whether you're trying to become like a sync rep or you're trying to work as an executive in the music industry, whatever vertical it is, or you're trying to be an artist or a writer or a producer. Um, and so you really have to know yourself to figure out your angle. Um, I do think I see sometimes Gen Z struggling with like sometimes the hard work that it might take. They might feel discouraged because it takes time. Not that they're afraid to work. I think that their lives have been a lot of like instant gratification because of the internet, like being raised with that. And being in the entertainment industry means like being in a marathon. And so a lot of times it just takes longer. And so I would say have patience. Um, just because it's not happening now doesn't mean it won't happen later. And you do get rewarded when you just stay in the game. Um, so I think it's important to have a sense of self, keep your feet rooted to the ground. Don't look for instant results. This is a career, so it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Do what you need to do to survive. But if this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, it's going to be a long journey. And don't lose yourself for the instant gratification of it looking good on paper to everyone else, because ultimately you're signing up for a life that does not align with who you are.
And I think also too, like with the internet being what it is now, it's important to remember, you might have a viral hit or a viral video, but that's not all that you need to sustain whatever you're
It's
trying
just
to do.
one thing. It's just one thing. And that doesn't mean it's not awesome. But a lot of times you can't plan for that. That just happens. The strategy comes after something is successful. Are you prepared to keep it going? I think a lot of young artists I that we have signed that we love, we're always telling them, to also play your instrument. I think like learn how to play live. We're so used to playing to a screen, and I think that's really important. But at any point, if your song goes like viral and then you get asked to do a tour, you also want to be prepared for that. So just make sure that you're also going to therapy, because when you get out there and you are grinding, nothing truly prepares you for that. So just make sure you have a good support system.
Definitely. And so, with it being Women's History Month, finally, my favorite question to ask is what women owned businesses do you like to support?
Yay! All of them. Honestly, I'm such a big fan of Peanut Butter Friends. Hazel and Georgia, who run this amazing company, are just absolutely fantastic. I I've learned so much from both of them. They do a lot of like social media strategy and content shoots, but management, they do everything, like any nook and cranny. Like I always go to them. I ask them questions all the time. Um, I've tried to get them jobs. I just find them to be two inspirational badasses that I'm lucky to know and that everyone should hire and work with. So definitely one of my favorite you know, companies out there. And obviously Jaybird.
Yeah, we are women owned and very proud of it.
So I think, I don't even think about, who's running what. I just surround myself with a lot of amazing, inspirational women who make me want to be better, because I just, I'm so inspired by strong, intelligent women, and I'm so lucky to be the the dumbest of us all.
Definitely not. But I,
Yeah,
we all have so much to learn from each other.
exactly.
Well, thank you so much. This has been great. I can't wait for everyone to hear it.
Yes, thank you so much. I so appreciate you, Ashley. And yeah, everyone be yourselves out there. It's never the wrong decision.
The only option.
Pretty much.
Thanks, Jesse.
Of course.